But the clucking hens over at The View sure don't have a problem giving their much more irrelevant, much more painfully annoying take. We'll watch that right now.
The abortion rights battle is starting to blur the lines between church and state. The Archbishop of San Francisco is calling for Speaker Nancy Pelosi to be denied receiving communion because of her pro-choice stance. He's one of the priests who also called for President Biden to be denied sacrament. This is not your job, dude. That is not up to you to make that decision. You know, what is the saying? It's kind of amazing. But, you know, what is the point of communion, right? It's for sinners. It's for sinners. It's the reward of saints, but the bread of sinners. How dare you?
So it actually is the Archbishop's job to make those decisions, Whoopi. Like, that's literally part of his job, is to make those decisions. And yes, communion is for sinners, but sinners have to actually care about their sin and repent and then take communion in response to this. This, of course, is among the most dumbed-down basics of Christianity. Whoopi would understand the depths of her ignorance if she ever went to church herself. So, of course, simple practices are going right over her head as she tells the archdiocese of the church that he's actually the one who is speaking out of turn. Whoopi Goldberg, who's probably never been to a Catholic church service in her whole life, she can say what's okay for Catholics, but not an archbishop of the Catholic Church. It makes sense. Joining me now to weigh in, director at MRC-TV, Eric Scheiner. Eric, thank you for being with me. This was so painful to watch, as is with everything The View posts. She brings up the separation of church and state. I don't think she's read her history. I don't think she's been to a church service. Separation of church and state doesn't technically, it may technically separate church from state, but it doesn't separate religion from politics or from public life. Your thoughts on this comment from Whoopi Goldberg?
Oh, man, it is just about the dumbest thing I've ever heard. It's unbelievable, this separation of church and state. This is blurring the lines. If you belong to a church, the church can enforce its rules. If you don't want to abide by the church's rules, no one is forcing you to go to church. The state is not making you choose a religion. You can choose any religion you want. That would be part of the separations that Whoopi doesn't understand, is that there is no official church of the state. But they don't want to accept that. Look, Whoopi's not alone. A lot of Democratic, and leftist media types have spoken out against this, saying that the Archbishop, it's not his job. It's totally his job. That's enforcing the rules of the church, making sure they're followed. That's completely their job. I don't understand. The statement is absolutely so insane. The sad part is she's not alone in the media making this outcry.
Yeah. She's not alone, and you bring up a great point. It is literally the Archdiocese's job. It's Catholics' job to make sure that their fellow Catholics, quote unquote, are in good moral standing and abiding by the teachings of their church. That's just kind of an a priori truth. We used to all understand that that's how religion worked. You had to follow the rules of the religion. If you don't follow the rules of the religion, the people that are in charge are going to call you out for it. Now, I want to switch gears here because Brian Stelter over at CNN is apparently very upset about the doom and gloom in the news cycle, which is absolutely hilarious. So we'll take a look at that and react. Roll tape.
Time you turn on the news these days, you are swamped by a tsunami of negative news. The only thing that's not happening are tsunamis. I mean, COVID surging in some areas, markets plunging, crypto crashing, inflation raging, gas prices soaring, and there's the baby food shortage and a seemingly never-ending string of mass shootings, the ongoing war in Ukraine, and a monkeypox outbreak. It goes on and on. So is the media supposed to look for silver linings here? Are we just going to give viewers what they want?
I don't remember a gigantic pileup as bad as this, nor really a dangerous period, a more dangerous period. I think it's really dangerous for the country.
And political talkers always try to focus on, well, what does it mean for the Democrats and Biden in the midterms? Forget about that for a minute. What does it mean for our psychology, for our health as a nation and a world, when you're just inundated by seemingly negative headlines all the time?
It feels like long COVID. We're in the middle of, we can't get out of long COVID. It's like everything is bad and we can't get healthy again. And really, it's a tremendous challenge, I think, particularly for the media, because what stories do you focus on?
I wonder if Brian Stelter has ever heard of COVID-19, because his outlet was running the COVID death ticker for like a year and a half Okay, and by the way, this is the same outlet that Project Veritas exposed, where the higher-ups were allegedly saying, you know, we got to keep the COVID death ticker because what did he say in that leaked video? Fear sells. Right? Panic sells. So Brian Stelter over here complaining about what his outlet basically does for a living, is sell fear and panic to people.
Yeah, and it was amazing, too, how after the election, the COVID death ticker just suddenly disappeared from CNN. It suddenly drifted away because they were so sunny and upbeat. You know, when Trump was president, they talked about nothing but good news. It wasn't doom and gloom all the time. I love the chyron underneath Stelter, the chyron in that one. It is hysterical, doom and gloom all the time. And also, he goes through all of these things: high gas prices, inflation, the stock market. But he never mentions Joe Biden. None of these things can be attributed to Joe Biden. None of these things are remotely his fault. It's just this tsunami of bad news that just washed ashore from somewhere. I don't know where. Couldn't possibly be due to the administration. And then they conclude that the real bad thing is Republicans. You didn't have it in that piece, but they conclude that the real bad news is it's Republicans. Of course, that's always what they conclude. And Brian Stelter wonders if people should even watch his cable news show. Well, gee. Maybe people should take Brian up on that offer.